10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Well, look who it is. All of our boggies listening in to episode 33 of Your Brain on God. We are so glad that you have joined us for episode 33. In this episode, Darryl and I, well, we had something planned, but then something spontaneous in nature combusted right before us. And it happened to be a conversation about being present in the midst of the struggle, how to get out of our heads and into our bodies and experience with our full bodies and full of the Spirit all the things that get hard in our lives, and actually to step into those things, get uncomfortable, so that the Comforter, the Holy Spirit, can embrace us and be with us. So it was a spontaneous conversation, but I believe that it's going to be impactful. So listen up and enjoy. There's this strange ecstasy that comes over you when you feel something that sucks. It's weird.
When you feel something that sucks, like a hard thing?
Yeah.
Like a difficult situation, difficult feeling?
Yeah, I've been practicing as I've been practicing presence. It's like if I allow myself to feel anxiety, it almost turns into bliss. It's weird.
It's like an excitement. There's like a good thing that you feel?
It's almost like I'm looking at a lion in the face and I'm saying, not today.
That's testosterone.
That's how I feel, though.
Yeah, and it's like it feels empowering.
It feels very empowering.
Like when you can accept it. When you come to the point of accepting the fear or the anxiety and just letting yourself feel it. It's like a courageous thing to do.
That's what it is. It's like this experience of courage. Mm-hmm. And even the most painful things, I've been talking about it with Max, my counselor. The most painful things, I've been talking to him. I'm like, it's so weird, Max, and he knew exactly what I was talking about. He's like, I know. He knew what I was saying. Yeah. I was talking to him. I was like, there's almost this sweetness that comes over me when I allow myself to face what I'm afraid of. Like in my mind, like the emotions, the fears, anxiety, when I sit with it. And it really is. It's like you just look at your enemy straight in the eyes, and then this smile comes over you. It's like this, because it's like this victory. It's almost like this, you can't kill me. Like this, like you can't destroy me type vibe. And it's a strange experience.
Yeah, I remember having a feeling of fear, anxiety, unknown, but it felt like excitement and adventure. Like whenever I was leaving for college and I didn't have any plans really to like where I was going to stay. I didn't have anything locked in. I was like, but what happened was I accepted that I can be on the streets. Like I might end up sleeping on the street for a while. And I just accepted that.
You were in a position actually where you were about to be on the streets?
I didn't know. I had some like things written down and some contact information, but I hadn't heard from anybody that was supposed to like help me get settled and stuff. And I didn't know what it was going to be like whenever I actually got there. And so I had like some money, not a lot of money, but I literally thought I might end up on the street.
Right.
And I just accepted that, and it was exciting.
Yeah.
It's like this thing that could be terrifying, it could be like super anxiety inducing and like fearful. But as soon as it was like, okay, it's like this feeling of excitement comes.
Right. Yeah, it's a strange reality.
And I don't know if that's just like something happened when I was a teenager going through like hard things, and my mind just switched when it came to hard situations. And now I looked forward, like I started looking forward to hard things.
Right.
The things that were going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Because I looked to what was going to come out on the other side. It's like, there's going to be a good story. Or
no, that was the defining moment of change. I think I've talked about this before on the podcast, but that was a defining moment of change for me. was when I switched my mentality in dealing with anxiety from I'm afraid that I'm going to be anxious today to bring it on.
Yeah. Right.
And as soon as I did that, it changed. Like, and I'm not saying the anxiety went away, because it didn't, but my experience even of it was different.
Right.
So anxiety would come, and again, I would just, and not, you have to like get good at like staying in the ring for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And like actually embracing like even that possibility. It's like, I might be on the streets. It's like, okay. Or, you know what I mean? Or this anxiety might put me out. It's like, all right, do your worst.
Right.
You know? And it strips power.
It does. It takes the power away from the fear or the anxiety.
Right.
Yeah. It's like that empowering feeling.
I guess that's what happened with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Right.
When they like, I think there's a lot of sermons on it, but when you switch it from what if to even if.
Yeah.
So King Nebuchadnezzar lights up his fire, says, if you don't bow to this statue of me, I'm going to throw you in the fire.
Yeah.
And then they say, our God is going to deliver us from this fire. But even if he doesn't, even if he doesn't, we're still not going to bow to you. And then it's like totally this, you can see this shift in Nebuchadnezzar, like almost like this powerless move. Mm-hmm. He turns the fire 7 times hotter.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it, which is like almost a thing of his anger. It's like, it's like this, even this more defiance in this king that exalts himself so much is these people saying, what you do is of no consequence to us.
Yeah.
Because he's basically like, I'm going to throw you in the fire, which is the power move, right? It's like, I have the power in this situation. And then they say, well, our God's going to deliver us from the power, but even if he doesn't, we're still not going to bow for you. So whether we die or we live, basically you just took all of the power that Nebuchadnezzar had in his hands and you just took it away from him and said, well, throw us in the fire.
Right. It's like,
and then it's like, right? And then that's like almost like a symbol. He like turns it up 7 times higher. And what happens when he turns it up 7 times higher? He ends up killing his own men.
Right. His own men ended up dying.
Right.
And the people he was trying to kill didn't even die.
And didn't even die.
Because God intervened. But it's...
Right.
Yeah. Totally strips the power away from the one who's doing the threatening.
Right.
Yeah. That's so true. Mm-hmm. There's this... In Hebrews 12:11 says that there's no chastisement that is enjoyable for the present, but painful. Nevertheless, it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness for those who have been trained by it. Right. And that was something that I held on to a lot, like going through hard things. Mm-hmm. It's like I pictured it as an opportunity to be trained, to be trained in the peaceable fruit of righteousness. Yeah. And so whenever something hard came along, I would remember that scripture. Mm-hmm. And that would have made it easier to like let go of trying to control the outcome. And
right. Yeah. Yeah. I think even, Abby's going through it right now where she's realizing I got to stop running away from hard things, you know, mm-hmm. and I have to stop running away from being uncomfortable, which is something that we love in our culture. Convenience and comfortability. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like everything is so convenient. Amazon Prime. I almost got mad the other day because I ordered something off of Amazon Prime and it didn't come in 2 days. Or it was going to come in late. It actually came on the second day, but it wasn't going to come maybe until like 8 p.m. Right. And I was like, I need this before 8 p.m. Like we love convenience and we love comfort. Yeah, totally. And then we try and even order our lives based around what's going to make us comfortable or what's going to be the most convenient for us. And then when we're inconvenienced, we get really frustrated. And so there's no space to grow in that environment because that's where you grow is in the inconvenience and in the uncomfortability. I've heard it said like, if you don't step into places of uncomfortability, the comforter has no place to rest. So it's like the Holy Spirit is called the comforter in the Bible. And so like he's called the comforter because he comes into places of uncomfortability. Right. So in our lives, we even, not necessarily that we have to choose spaces of uncomfortability, but as we walk through spaces of uncomfortability, those are spaces that we should embrace because it actually makes room for the comforter to fill that space in our lives. So the more that we are comforted by other things, the more that we can kind of keep our back out towards the comforter, you know?
Yeah, no, that's
because we
good.
already have comfort.
And if we only stay within our comfort zone, then we're never going to become comfortable with anything else. It's like the only way to actually become comfortable with like public speaking is for me to start public speaking. You know, it's like I don't want to do public speaking because it makes me uncomfortable, but I'm never going to be comfortable with it if I don't actually just do it. You know, and then once I step outside of the zone, that's where I have space for the comforter to come, like you were saying.
Right.
And for my comfort zone to actually get bigger.
Right.
And then I'll be comfortable doing it just like I am doing anything else. It'll be one of the things in my comfort zone.
Well, that's one of the biggest tactics of, I want to say psychotherapy, but that's just because it's a cool word. But of counseling or whatever is exposure therapy.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, it's still today, you know what I mean? One of the biggest ways to embrace fears and stuff is you actually have to expose yourself to that fear. Right. And then in exposing yourself to the fear, you end up stripping the fear of its power to some extent, you know? Like I love my my stepdad, Jeremy. He's terrified of heights, but when we went to Zion, we went canyoneering, which is literally rappelling off of, you know, upwards of 100-foot cliffs. So you're literally up on a 100-foot cliff and you're literally just latched to a rope and you have to do it yourself, let the rope go and rappel yourself down a 100-foot cliff.
Dang.
So he's literally sweating palms, all this stuff, but he's doing it for the sake of family, which is always good that you have like something on the other side or whatever, or you have like a reason to do it. It's like, this is like for the sake of family that we're going to do this or whatever. So he started rappelling down these 100-foot cliffs with us, and he said he would never do it again. So I don't know how good that example was.
So he did it and he realized he didn't want his comfort zone to expand.
but AJ was telling me the other day that that he said that he's been studying the Enneagram again. He just got back into the Enneagram, and he was saying that one of the threes, the type 3's biggest fears is failure, and so what he would do, he said it was almost like subconsciously. What he started to do is he just started asking girls out all the time. Because he knew that it was like a sure place of rejection. Like in a sure place of failure. Like you can't, like if you just, especially if you're saying pickup lines like he was saying, but you know what I mean? But like, it's like this place of failure. It's almost like I'm going to rid myself of this fear of failure by asking 40 girls out at the beach.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
And then just getting rejected upon rejected upon rejected, you know, by these girls just asking him out, you know? But it was this exposure. And he said, I don't even know why I was necessarily doing it, but I wanted to get rid of that. I'm so afraid of failing. You know, so I'm actually do that. And so that's a huge thing, is to actually expose yourself to them, and then you end up getting stronger. Same thing with martial artists. Martial artists? Yes, that's right?
Yeah, martial artists.
Martial art. That sounds weird for some reason.
Martial arts.
You know when words just start to sound weird in your brain? But they hit their shins. They literally kick trees. I've seen that.
Like Taekwondo, Muay Thai, especially Muay Thai. They do a lot to their shins. Rubbing it with like bamboo.
Yeah.
That's a practice they do, and just get your shins all messed up. And then but it strengthens them.
Yeah, it like forms those deposits over top of those cracks in your shins or whatever. And then some people are like literally able to just kick trees and be fine because they've strengthened their things or whatever. Their things.
They've let I don't know if it kills like the sensory, like the things that pick up pain in that area no longer feel anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it gets strengthened practically because
your bones actually get stronger.
Yeah. Yeah, they're crazy.
That's buck wild.
Buck wild kicking,
man. But I think that's important that you step into hard things and actually allow them almost in a way to like wash over you.
Right.
You know. I think that's how we build up.
That's how we get bigger.
Yeah.
Increase our capacity. Yeah, that's good.
That's good. Should we just talk about this now? I think we've been talking about it for 14 minutes.
I know we have. Dang.
Sometimes Darryl and I will just get on a tangent and then it ends up becoming good. We had an idea for a podcast. We swear, Boggies.
Yeah. I mean, we could, because this is a big thing, I think.
It is a big thing, man. I think we should just talk about it.
There is, okay, if we're going on this, I think I've talked about this before, but there's a point in my life when I decided I'm not going to say no to something just because of fear. And it's in those moments whenever I recognize that I don't want to do something because I'm afraid. Right. When I recognize that's the thing, then I have to make the decision still to do it, right? I guess I kind of already made the decision. And so therefore I remember the decision I made.
What do you mean you already made the decision?
That I'm not going to let fear be the only reason I don't do something.
Oh, so that was the decision.
Yeah, like I made a decision. I'm not going to let fear be the reason I say no to something.
Right.
And so if I get asked to do something or opportunity comes and I'm just afraid and that's why I don't want to do it because I'm uncomfortable, I don't allow fear to be the reason. And remembering that actually gives me that level of excitement. That same kind of like almost that bliss you were talking about in the beginning of like,
right.
All right, I'm going to do it. And then I feel empowered. Right. I feel this empowerment to do the thing that I was afraid of doing.
Right.
Just because I decided to actually do it. Mm-hmm. And that has come to pass in multiple times in my life, for sure, of like me just saying yes and not allowing fear to be the thing that held me back. From like leading when I was in college and leading teams and like saying yes to doing something or
opportunities.
Saying yes to speaking to like the men's ministry back then, or like to do this big embarrassing thing and I like a big conference.
Embarrassing thing?
Yeah, it's like I knew that I was going to be the object of humiliation along with some other guys, but they asked me if I wanted to be one of the guys and I knew what like it was about.
That feels like a very academic way to say that you were like a jester or something or like a clown. It was like, I was the object of humiliation.
No, it's like, there's like a dating morning show for this conference, but they like pick out guys to basically make fun of throughout the like every day, like a new way to make fun of these people. And they have like a plan to make it some big thing and fun thing at the end. Right. And I knew I was being asked to be made fun of, It was essentially like going up and to fail in front of a bunch of people in this like pretend I'm trying to act like I'm wanting to date this person. Right. Anyways, I said yes to doing that, even though I had no desire inside of me to do it. But they said they needed somebody and they thought of me because of certain reasons or whatever. Right. And so I said yes and I did it. And in saying yes, I had this fear, but I also had this like, okay, here we go. Like it's going to happen. And it gave me this energy to actually go do it. But I never would have done that. I was super uncomfortable. Right. But doing it actually let me see like, this isn't that bad. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. And once I let go of needing it to be something or like wanting to appear a certain way and I could just be there. Right. And it expanded my comfort zone, Right. It's like I was fine. Uh-huh. Saying yes, like to getting married to Brittany,
that's a big one.
There could be a lot of fear in that process of deciding.
One that I'm still working on. How do you do that?
But I just didn't want fear to ever be a reason for me to not do something. Yeah. And that would have been the only thing that would have held me back from any longer. Right. And when I let go of the fear of, well, what if it doesn't work out, or what if da-da-da, or what if da-da-da, right. And I just decide to be present in the relationship, it gives me a sense of power. It empowers me to do what I can do to actually go through with this. Right. Because if I'm afraid and just focusing on the fear, then I'm not realizing what I can do to actually make it work.
Say that again.
If I'm focusing on the fear of what could go wrong, I'm not focusing on what I can do to make it work out.
Okay, you got to explain that.
So if I'm just worried, let's say I was dating Brittany, I was just worried about all the reasons why it wouldn't work out, or I was worried about the things that could go wrong down the road, and I just allowed that fear to consume me and that to be my thought process and my patterns. And every time we're together, I'm thinking about, well, what if this changes, or my parents this happened, or like this happened in other relationships, and what if that happens to us? And if I allow myself to go down that train of thought, then I'm not thinking about what can I do to help make this relationship healthy. What can I do to pour myself into this the best way that I can? How can I best pour into her? How can I best keep myself healthy? And how do I navigate this relationship in a way that is healthy? Right. Because I'm focused on all the things that could go wrong. I'm not.
Future fears sabotage the present will.
The present power.
Oh, that's good. That's
that's
better. Dang, that's way better. I had the
fears.
structure.
You did.
structure. You edited it.
Yeah, that was good. It was a good teamwork. Good team effort.
Future fears sabotage present power.
That's it.
Dang, that's actually good. No, it's very true. It's very true. I think that's huge in relationships for sure. Being able to like see all these things that can go wrong, and then you're not present enough to see what you can do to make it right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you end up living in the present, but out of future fears, and then end up really creating that future.
Because now I'm thinking about all the things that go wrong, and that changes the way that I'm behaving in the relationship. Mm-hmm. Because I'm afraid of this happening, so I'm going to act a certain way to try to stop that thing from happening, or I'm gonna look for reasons that it's happening, even if it's not happening. Yeah. I'll just find things that fit my narrative,
right?
Over the narrative that I'm telling myself, like of what I'm afraid of happening.
Yeah, and that it's such a weird thing, because I think that's maybe like a common trope, like you get what you fear or something like that, but it really does happen, but you end up creating it for yourself. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy that you end up doing. But I think going back to the saying yes to those hard things.
Yeah.
Have you seen Yes Man?
Yeah.
Right. I was thinking about that. It's this guy who is always saying no to things, but he's saying no to things because he was hurt. So his old relationship didn't work out, like the love of his life, right, didn't work out, and then he became this it's almost like this. I don't know. He stopped going out with his friends. He stopped really living his life. He just was renting movies and saying no to doing anything or whatever because he had gotten hurt. And then what changed his life was actually starting to say yes to things, especially things that it first really started out things that he didn't want to do. Mm-hmm. Right. So he's like, this homeless guy comes to him and he's like, can I get some money? And then he's like, yes. You know what I mean? And then as he kind of went and saying yes to all these things that he didn't want to do, it actually opened up all these opportunities that actually changed his life. And then because of those, I love it so much, because he said yes to those things, he realized that he wanted to say yes. Like the whole idea of saying yes to everything was actually to get back into his heart, that he actually wanted to hang out with his friends, that he actually wanted to do good in the world, that he actually wanted, right? So it's like this opening up to experiencing of uncomfortability, it transformed him. It transformed him back into maybe even how he used to be before, but even a better version. Right. A better version of that. And I think that exposure to those hard things or those uncomfortable things, it creates a better version of ourselves. Like I love the opportunities when you're like, man, that sounds terrifying. Okay, I'm gonna do it. Yeah. And I think even I love what you said. You said that I made a decision before the opportunity even came up, and the decision wasn't I'm gonna say yes or no to this thing, which I think we get caught up in. Mm-hmm. Is, do I say yes or no to this opportunity? Instead of having a behind the decision. Does that make sense? You had made a values decision that allowed you to make a decision about your life. Yeah. Which I think we get caught up a lot in is in purpose. Like, what do I say yes to? Where do I go? What do I do? Instead of actually establishing a value decision inside of us, like whatever I do, I'm not going to make a decision out of fear. Right. So the question no longer is, should I or should I not be in this relationship? The question has been determined in my heart. I'm gonna pick a person who has integrity, or you have a value behind it, or I'm not going to make a decision out of fear. So, and then you kind of have a barometer for what that decision should be. Yeah. So I think that's really awesome that you had a decision kind of pre-thought out, which makes the actual decision a lot easier because you've already determined your value. It makes decision making a lot easier. And I think Brene Brown, I think she talks about this. Tony Robbins, I know, talks about this. But when we have clear values in the way that we want to live, that does make decision making easier, right? And when we have an outline of what our values are, and we understand the kind of person that we want to be, the kind of life we want to live, a lot of our decisions are made for us. Right.
Right. Because it's about the decision that I made to be already. I'm making a decision to be this kind of a person. So I don't have to think about whether or not I'm going to say yes to that. You know, I don't have to decide whether or not I'm going to do this thing, because I've already decided that this is the kind of person I want to be.
Right.
And it helps for sure with reducing stress in decision making. It's like, well, why do I want to do this, or why don't I want to do this? And does this actually line up with the person I want to be? Because if it doesn't line up, then I need to choose the other option.
Right. And because I have a lot of struggles, and have had a lot of struggles with like moral issues, you know, like, is this right or is this wrong? Kind of black or white thinking, especially when I get in stressed modes. I start thinking black or white, like it's either all in or or all out. You know what I mean? I'm either the best or I'm the worst. You know,
and it could be like really little things. Like,
right.
I'm using someone else's pen. Is that okay? I'm using their ink.
Yeah, I know. And I literally, we laugh about that, but it will be like that.
I know.
Like, yeah, you know me. But I've literally had thoughts like, I borrow someone's book, and you know how you kind of fold back the front cover to read? Like, I've had moral dilemmas about that.
Right.
Like, this is their book. Am I damaging their property?
Yeah. Which is I think that's a considerate thing to add to wonder.
Yeah, I think so too.
But it's not.
But when you get that stress,
maybe not something to get hung up on.
Yeah. As far as it being a big thing, I don't know. It's a book. It costs $10, whatever, and books get messed up anyway. But that's besides the point. But what I had to make a decision about was no longer about, is this right or is this wrong? And I'm not saying I don't make those decisions now, but the question behind that question that helps me embrace some of those uncomfortable moral decisions is, am I close and am I present? Mm-hmm. Like, those are huge defining things, which I think is similar to, am I acting out of fear? Or I don't want to make a decision out of fear. For me, being close to God and being present where I am allows me to determine whether or not that decision, one, needs to be made right now, and two, whether or not it matters. Mm-hmm. You know, so when I get faced with maybe an uncomfortable emotion, decision, moral dilemma or whatever, instead of going, I have to make this decision, and then after I make that decision, what will determine my peace. I have a value of, I want to make a decision out of peace. Right. So then I come back to that value of, am I close right now? If either of those answers is no, I don't do anything with the decision. So if I'm not close, I'm not like connecting with God and I'm not actually present in the moment, I say, well, that's all completely off the table right now.
Right.
And sometimes, you know, that process it's only off the table for a minute or 30 seconds, right? Because it's like, I come back to myself. I get present. Okay, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to be okay with the consequences, decisions either way. Yeah. And then even as the consequences come through my mind, racing through my mind, I get present with those. So I actually embrace those. Again, you like embrace all of those uncomfortable ideas or whatever. It's even, which is crazy. This is a little bit different, but it's so crazy when I get afraid of, like, when I experience just straight up anxiety, like even like performance anxiety. And even the physical, you experience like the physical, like heart palpitations or heart palpitations. That's another problem. That could happen, but like your heart beating fast. Yeah. Embracing the physical uncomfortability of that is insanely helpful. Like, and even getting close and present with that for me is insanely helpful. Yeah. Like, it's actually wild, like because my anxiety is mostly up in my head. Now I'm talking a lot here, sorry. But my anxiety is mostly in my head, but when I experience it physically, like bodily, I'll experience the fullness of that uncomfortability, and it alleviates it to this degree, even in that blissful way.
What does that look like for you? Is that a moment of becoming, just focusing on awareness of your body, or what is that? How do you just what is that process when you feel that and you accept it?
Oh, it's been a long process, like years of learning how to do it in my brain. And it's very hard to explain, because it's almost like, if I was to picture it, it's like there's like this little reservoir inside my brain This is actually what I picture to do it. There's like a little reservoir in my brain that gets filled up with dunk. It's like a cesspool.
Okay.
And then what I'm doing is I've experienced most of my anxiety in my brain, like actually physically in my head. So like if you get present enough to experience your anxiety, you know where it rests.
Right.
So mine rests right here in my prefrontal cortex because I think way too much. I don't know if it's actually there, but it's in the, like I feel it right here. Then I feel it in my neck right here, in the front of my neck and on my shoulders. So everything is from shoulders up. It's my face will actually get hot with anxiety. It's like a very head anxiety. So what I'll picture is that reservoir building up, and then I do drainage. So I literally drain all of the thoughts, all of the fear, and I get really up close with it inside my mind. Like I allow my mind to feel it, and then I drain it into the rest of my body so that my entire body can feel it. Because I think what I've learned through like maybe meditating a little bit more is that our pain gets localized, but we need to learn how to actually release it into the rest of our bodies. Because our full bodies can experience way more anxiety than those localized areas can.
Right.
So like people experience like anxiety in their chest or in their back, or, you know, like same with me, shoulders, you know, shoulders are a big one, like right here. That's a big place to experience your anxiety. But I've allowed it to like drain into even my legs, and feeling it like in my back and like my stomach, all like I drain it into the rest. And then it allows me to embrace even fear and those places in like in a better way.
So you actually picture your anxiety somewhere where it's at, and then you picture it spreading and moving and being released.
Right. But even the picture is somewhat elusive. It's not like I'm like intentionally in my mind visualizing like a cesspool drainage or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
It's that's why it's hard to explain, because I feel like my brain has clicked into certain spaces where when I feel an emotion, I'm able to I can come up really close, and it's just, and you breathe into it. You breathe into the emotion, and you allow it to like come over you. And then you allow it to kind of drift into different parts of your body or whatever. I don't. Wow. It's very hard to explain that, because it just like I can do it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like accepting it,
right?
Like being aware of it and then accepting it. It's like allowing it to actually just take its course.
Yeah,
literally.
It started out with certain tics. So I would go like this. I would literally,
like,
if you can't see it if you're just listening, but I would turn my head sideways and I would like blink, because I was like trying to send it down. Like it would start out like that. And then as I've gotten better, I don't need to do the tics anymore. Like sometimes I'll still raise my eyebrows and open. It's almost like I have to open up my mind right in the front to let it go down. And then sometimes now I could be in conversation and I could just do it. It's kind of interesting because I used to have to do more with like my actual body to do it, but now I can do it pretty regularly.
Yeah.
But it creates this really special experience in me of even anxiety and fear, and it almost makes you feel like you can conquer anything no matter what the thing is, because I've created a value in me to be close and to be present and to face everything. So that's been a huge thing for me, especially as like a 7 on the Enneagram or whatever, that wants to avoid pain at all costs. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think my greatest vice, according to the Enneagram at least, is gluttony, which is like basically distraction, indulgence.
Yeah.
Which is something that, you know, I mean, that's been in my life, you know, social media wise and that kind of stuff, you know, but just indulging videos and, you know, content and stimulation. And I can be a glutton for that because I'm trying to feed myself to get out of it. So it's been a huge practice for me to actually get quiet, get up close and personal with what's going on in my life. And then it actually creates like this resilience and this power, even coming back to what we're talking about. It creates this insane, like, bro, throw me in the fire.
Right.
Give me the worst anxiety. You know what I mean? Like it can't kill me anymore. Like it can't do anything to me, because anything that comes my way, it's like, even if. It's like, come. You know what I mean? So it's just, you get close to it.
Does that happen after you do that process of like acknowledging it, letting it, kind of accepting it, allowing it to flow.
Does what happen?
That feeling of empowerment again and resilience. Does it come after that?
Sometimes. I'm not saying it's 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not 100% of the time that you feel like this crazy empowerment. Sometimes you feel weak, you know, and it doesn't feel like you're making progress, whatever that means.
Okay, yeah.
You know, like you feel like you're in the same spot, or it takes all day to get out of a mode of anxiety, or I haven't perfected it by any means, but the last 2 months especially have been brilliant.
Are you feeling that switch and almost the opposite of what you would feel at first? Right.
Like, because for me, and again, I guess I'm coming back. It's just because I talked about the Enneagram with AJ last night, and so I'm all Enneagrammed out. But I'm in like this head triad, right? So I stay in my head. So whatever I can do to get into my body is just it's literally like experiencing life in a new way.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's actually like experiencing life in a different way. Like that's why it's like I need to send whatever's in my brain into my body, and then it's like I don't think I've lived there most of my life.
Wow.
Yeah. Because it's like, and it's almost like do people experience this? Because I haven't for years.
Wow.
Like actually for years. And it's like I'm in my body and I'm actually there, where I'm just like where I'm not focused on other fears that could be going on. You know what I mean? They're like, it's actually intense.
Yeah.
Like it's a total different experience. Like I see you, and I don't know if it's completely true, but I see you as someone who's in their body for the most part. Like I don't know. I don't see you like like you don't seem like that type of person to me. Like you seem like, you know what I mean? Like even sometimes when we're planning our podcast, you know what I mean? I'm like, and I have to I have to get up. I have to do things. I have to like, you know what I mean? Like I have to walk. That's why I'm always like setting up while you're like researching. Like I like sitting down and doing, I get, you know what I mean? It happens more like you can do that better. It seems like that comes more naturally to you. Like whenever we're planning a podcast, you're sitting on the couch, you're like researching, you're writing stuff down. I'm moving everywhere. Like I have to.
I feel you.
I have to. Otherwise I get, whatever. So when I could actually get my body and do this, where I'm just like shoulders are relaxed and I'm here, it is a different experience of life than I've had in the last 10 years.
Wow.
Like literally. So that's why this moving from my head to my body, and then the hardest thing for me has been it's not even to do it, but to realize how much I run from pain.
Right.
Like, and there was I always knew that, but now I know that. Like I always would talk about it, even like I run from commitment, or I run from pain, or I run from my emotions, or I distract myself. I would know it, but now I know it. Like I feel it. Like I'm like, bruh, I'm running now, even now, not right now. I feel
but
good
you can
right
recognize
now.
it.
But I can recognize it. Like, and that's what the gift is being able to recognize it.
Yeah.
Like when you are able to recognize I'm doing it, or then you can actually make a change. Because it's like, especially in my brain, there's been like this subtle naivety that I don't want, or this blockage, or this, it's almost like my eyes are blind to it. It's like, I know it's there, but I can't do anything about it. Or you're in this space, and this is what anxiety does. You're in this space where you know it's going on, but you can't act. You're like, you're petrified. Like that's why you live all day in anxiety. People struggle with anxiety for just, the entire day, because it started from some stupid thought they had in the morning. Because anxiety, it unless you actually handle it pretty quickly, right, it'll just linger. And then you have the after effects. You're not even experiencing the first thought. You're experiencing the lingering effects of everything going on. And then if you don't intentionally shut your door, get quiet for an hour, and allow yourself to feel everything that's going on inside you, especially when you have a busy day, your whole day is, you can live through it and you can survive and it's fine.
But it's being like hijacked.
But it's been hijacked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or you have this nagging in the back of your brain the entire day, right? So now with the recognition in me that I can actually face this stuff, like a moral issue goes on in my brain, I don't have to be up here with it anymore. Like, and this is like, it's funny. I was talking to some people, they were like, you should write about that, because I've never heard that. But like the sending it to your full body, like I feel like that was a gift from God given to me. It was like this weird thing where it was almost this, your whole body is capable of experiencing so much more pain than you think.
Right.
Like so much more uncomfortability than you think. The thing is that there's certain places in you that you carry it. And that's why it's so heavy.
And it feels overwhelming. It's
like carrying, if I try to carry a 20-pound dumbbell with just my finger, it's going to freaking hurt after a while. You know what I mean? But if I use my whole hand, I'm lifting that thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
1,000 times. No, I'm not that buff. But I you know what I mean? Because you're using more surface area to carry
the weight.
So now with anxiety, it's like my brain is not carrying the whole weight. And I thought but the problem was my brain. And so you become an enemy of your own body. And you start demonizing even certain parts of your body, which is like
why are you thinking the way you're thinking? And
right.
Yeah, condemning your thoughts.
I started crying on one of our podcasts with Tracy because I realized, I had a revelation that my brain was like the kid who was just like awkward on the playground and didn't know how to connect with people, so everybody started making fun of him. And all he was trying to do was like make friends and try and do his thing and trying to protect. And like wow. I started like tearing up because Tracy was talking about something. I can't remember what she was talking about. I started tearing up because I realized I had made an enemy of my brain.
Dang.
But it wasn't that my brain was actually doing it to me. It's that all of the pain that I experience internally is caught up here.
Right.
So he actually bears the load. He's actually holding it back a lot of the time and carrying a lot of that load. So I've been like, freaking brain, shut up. You know what I mean? Like, you're an idiot. And I've actually like demonized a part of my body
that's trying to protect and trying to
do
help
you
well. Yeah, it's trying to help.
Mm-hmm. But when I can actually get into my body and send it back to where now I'm in this heart place of where my heart is actually experiencing, and my heart when my heart and brain are in sync, I feel like I'm talking very like crazy, weird, but this is just my experience. But when my heart and brain are like in sync and they're carrying mutual loads, like where it's like my chest and my brain are carrying each of these loads, it's a dreamland. It's like they're like doing, 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 doing. That's how I picture them.
Going back and forth,
like being like in sync with each other. And then it's like, oh, my brain, your brain actually starts to think clearly. It's like, now that I have other people, like now that both hands aren't crushed and I have one hand free, I can do all this other stuff with this other hand. So it's like I can carry some load over here, but now with this other hand, I could draw a picture. I could be creative. I could type. I can write up something.
Right, yeah.
Because it's like this present space allows me to do that. Right? So it's like this freeing up of even brain space for me to be able to be creative, do things I want to do, think clearer in leadership, be at work, and I'm accomplishing more at work than ever. Like in half the time, like almost to where it's like, I don't need these hours sometimes. I'm like, or I need to be more creative.
With what you find, we come up with new ideas because you're being so productive.
Because I'm being productive.
Yeah.
Like, especially when people leave, like, which is really bad because I still love people way too. It's not that bad that I love people way too much, but I will accomplish the last hour of work on a Monday because that's my office day. In the last hour of work, I'll accomplish more than I accomplished in the first 7 because people leave.
Right.
And then I'm just in my office and I'll get everything done. Like, and I just get in this flow state. And in that hour, I accomplish more than I accomplished in the first 6.
Because you're distracted with people.
Because I'm distracted with people. Yeah.
Because you're always interrupting meetings.
Because it is. I know, because this is what my brain does. It knows that people are in the offices and I want to go talk to them.
Right. Yeah.
I want to go talk to them. I want to interrupt every meeting. And I want to come in. I want to say a one-liner, make people laugh, and I want to leave. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
But literally more in my body, more present than like I've ever been. Singing has been super helpful for this as well.
Getting into your body.
Getting into my body. Yeah. So I'll like just start singing, like even in worship at church, it was all head. Like, and this is what I'm talking about. I didn't even realize this. I realized it, but I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it, but didn't recognize it. Maybe I'll say. All my worship is head. I'm trying to connect on a head level with the spiritual, with God. Recently, I've been taking worship so much into my body, and it is a different world. Like spontaneous eruptions of joy inside my heart. Like where I have to yell, where like this different praise is coming out of me towards God. All because I've embraced this thing that I thought was so scary. And like this resilience has come up in me it's been unreal, like actually life-changing.
Wow, that's amazing.
And then there's this excitement in the back of my head, like, oh, I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like this weird thing where I'm just like, it's like I know the fear's there, and I'm looking at it right in the eyes, and I'm like, you can't touch me. And then it's like, like there's this excitement that brews in me.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
It's what's crazy is just how long, like what you were saying about how long you were going on without realizing that. You know, how long like you were experiencing life without realizing that you were missing out on a different kind of experience.
Well, I realized I knew I wanted to be there.
Right.
I knew that, but I know what you're saying. But yeah, that's exactly. It's like a fog. It's like a weird fog was over me, and I would have moments where I would enter into the space. Like it was progression, right? Like you're kind of like moving up in cyclical ways. You know what I mean? It's not like your life's not linear. It's like you go up and down and up, or whatever. But it feels like 2 months ago I hit like a breaking point that's lasted. This is the longest period that it's lasted.
Was there something that happened that shifted internally, or something that you came across, or a decision that you feel like you made, or something that shifted inside of you that led you to that point of like it becoming a regular thing, or you experiencing it in a new way?
No. Not that I can think of.
While you were talking, I was thinking about how my relationship with my body and my brain and my emotions and my heart. I sit in my. I do feel like I sit with my body, you know, and I feel things, and I have like this kinesthetic awareness that. Maybe in conversation, it seems like some people don't have, you know.
I think it plays out in the way you rock climb.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
In my
the way you dance.
The physical activities I've been involved with, it's like this kinesthetic awareness, this awareness of my body has helped me with a lot of things, with certain things. But
that's actually so interesting. I wonder how that plays into rock climbing. This guy is like, you're like a weird... You're just weird. Like the way you orient your body.
I climb weird doesn't mean it's the right way.
It's so, what is it? Non-orthodox.
Yeah, I don't know. I just try to follow my body and see what happens.
Yeah, it's weird, but it works.
And you know what's weird is I'll get a climb on the first try, and then I'll try again later, and it's harder for me because I'm like thinking through it now. And when the first time I go, I feel like I'm more just almost going
feeling
instinct,
it out,
allowing my body to do what it needs to do.
Right.
But anyways, I tend to sit more in my body and which helps me be present. I think when I talk about that, it's like feeling what my body's feeling and being present in the moment. I think it helps with that, but it also is can create a disconnect with the the emotions of things, because I can come to this place of accepting some stuff, but then not thinking about why I was feeling that.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like I can feel fear and like, okay, and I'll just sit with it and I'll be fine. And like, I'll be okay. And I actually will like get past it somewhat or be able to move on.
Right. But you don't know why.
But I don't always spend the time to think about and process why I was feeling that before. And I have to take time to intentionally reflect on why is this hard for me?
Right.
Why am I feeling this about this thing or about this person? What happened? And it's not like I don't have I have a narrative going on in my mind, but I'm not always aware of the narrative. You know, I don't stop to actually reflect on the narrative.
Right.
And it takes intentional time for me to allow my heart to catch up with where I'm at, or allow my body to catch up with my heart, maybe I should say. But in times I've found it easiest is whenever I write and just reflect through writing. It engages my brain.
Yeah.
Right. It engages my brain and puts things into language, and it's not just a bodily experience that I'm feeling and navigating. Right. Now it's something that I'm processing and writing out and feeling and accepting, and that helps me be grounded with myself in a more holistic way. Uh-huh. You know, because I might not be caught up in a lot of anxieties and thoughts of like, what if this, what if that, what if this, what if that, how could I, you know, my brain might not be feeling it's going like that, and I might feel things in my body, and I have to stop to think, why am I feeling this? You know, like, where is this coming from?
Right.
What is it? What do I need to do to process this? You know, and I think having the physical, the kinesthetic awareness and kind of actually feeling my body, like sitting in my chest, you know, the weight or something happening, or if I do feel like my brain's going crazy, but being able to sit with it, and I have to intentionally stop to actually feel it and then think about it to process it. Even, I mean, going back to what we're talking about.
You need to make it a practice.
Yeah. I need to make that a practice. And
writing is so good for that, journaling and stuff. That's really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's in those moments when I do feel more connected, even just with myself. Uh-huh. You know, and I think that whenever I feel more connected, I feel more confident to approach harder situations, for sure. You know, because then I'm living out of the space where I feel like I know who I am and what I want to do, and the kind of person that I want to be. Right. And it makes it easier to make decisions, and it makes it easier to live the way that I want to live, because I'm not concerned with all this other stuff that I might not be thinking in the forefront of my mind, but I'm really like, it's the thing that's going on in the back of my mind that's motivating me to do, you know, to like talk to somebody or not, or to make a decision or not make it. When I could sit and like allow myself to almost come into alignment, you know, it's like coming into alignment with myself and with God, and allowing myself to sit and wait, that I can feel that peace again. And that's something I need to be intentional about. Right. Because I'll lose it.
So we're like kind of opposites in a way.
Yeah, I think I need to move towards the way that...
Towards the front of the brain.
Uh-huh. Yeah, where you need to move towards your body. Yeah. Allow yourself to feel it, be throughout your... I don't know.
Or just...
What you were saying.
I think the underlying thought of not going into my body is, if I'm in my body, I'm not being intentional. Mm-hmm. So if I'm just present and I'm not thinking about things, then I'm not being intentional with my growth. Like, okay, right. I've kind of valued the mind over that. You know what I mean? So there's been a distrust that I'll grow if I'm just there. Right. If I'm just in my body experiencing life as it is, you know? So I have to analyze, think. There's this distrust that I'll miss it. I'll miss what's right or where to go or that kind of stuff if I'm in my body. So I have to think. So that's where the anxiety comes from. It's like, even with my relationship with God, like, I have to think about him deeply. Right. I have to think about how to experience him deeply. I have to think about the word deeply, which I'm grateful for, because I think about the word deeply, and it's led me to be able to even articulate the word deeply. So again, most often, your greatest strength is your greatest weakness, right? So,
right. Yeah, I know for sure.
So yeah, so I'm grateful for that in a way, but I didn't know how deeply your body could experience worship, or could give adoration to God, or could connect in relationship, or could be willing to love. And the spiritual ascent for me has always been, it had to be here, because I wasn't doing enough if I was in my body.
Right.
Like, if I wasn't, thinking deeply or whatever. I think I've covered it.
Yeah. I don't know why I feel like for a long time, not since I was young, but I pay a lot of attention to my body since, I don't know. It's like, even when I hug Brittany, I'll be hugging her, but I'll be feeling her with my whole body, I'm not just like in my mind giving her a hug. It's like, I'm aware of every part of her body that's
my
touching.
My ankle is on her ankle.
Exactly. Like, I'll feel that and I'll think about it and I'll embrace it, and I will enjoy the sweetness of it. And it's like, I don't know. I used to do these practices with trying to feel if I had my wallet in my pocket without touching it, Can I feel my wallet?
Don't bring up
in my
wallets
pocket?
Right now, Darryl.
Oh, sorry.
I'm missing mine.
Sorry, Aaron. I wasn't thinking about that. Was insensitive of me.
It was, man.
But
I lost it.
I still have to like intentionally get into my body and not just numb out, and not just like disassociate with what I'm feeling. I still have to like go for a walk in that and be present with myself. And that's something I've become a lot. I have become a lot. I have become a lot better at doing. Right. Is being intentional to take time to sit and to be present and be, even just with Jesus. It's like sometimes my time with Jesus is just about sitting and being present.
Yeah.
It's like being aware that he is with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. And it's good. It's a different kind of experience than whenever I used to really want to have all these analytical thoughts about the word, and I feel like if I were to spend time with God, it needed to be that.
Right. Yeah. You need to be thinking. And I guess I think it's even a cultural thing. Perhaps. I don't know. I think one of the biggest addiction is the addiction of thinking.
I think that we idealize thought.
Yeah.
I think we do. And intellect, we idealize intellect.
Deep thought and stuff.
Yeah, we can idealize intellect and miss out on a lot more. Not that intellect is bad or something it shouldn't be neglected, but it's not the end all be all.
But I think there's even a reason, love God with all of your heart and your soul. And your mind, right?
Mind, it's included,
and your strength, it's included. So there is an aspect to intellect, But then there's different types of intellect, So like I think there is like a body intellect,
right? Yeah, yeah.
Like if there's up here a brain intellect, like there's a experience of bodily intellect, Yeah. There's emotional IQ,
Right.
Apparently there's cultural IQ. We just took that class this last week.
Oh, yeah.
Increasing your cultural IQ. I was like, CQ. I didn't know that was a thing.
But, might be a new way of categorizing thought.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that we have to learn to become that kind of intelligence needs to be more held as well, Yeah. And I think especially in the connection to the spiritual, that's just always how I thought. Like you raise up and you go through school and it's all like brain, you know what I mean? Thinking about things, articulating things, you're up in your head a lot, thinking about ideas, formulating ideas, all that kind of stuff. Reading works, you know what I mean? You're analyzing stuff, you know what I mean? What's truthful, what's not, arguments, like that's what you're doing. You're just up in your brain all the time. And so then coming to a more holistic approach to even life can be confusing. I wonder if that's a Western thing, like more like intellectual thought. I mean, that was like definitely Greeks, you know what I mean? They wanted wisdom. Totally. They wanted, there was obviously a huge prize of the intellect,
I think it is.
Yeah. And I think we think that stuff is weird because it is a stranger way of articulating it. Like even what I was saying earlier, I felt like a madman talking about it, because you're talking about all these parts that are connecting and going through, and all that stuff's around, but definitely more Eastern, of a holistic approach to actually experiencing life, experiencing suffering, experiencing, and experiencing in all these parts.
It's like finding I don't know, this is probably a poor analogy, but it's like having a gold mine, and then you find another gold mine somewhere else, and then you abandon the other gold mine that you had. But there really is so much gold in both, It's like you would have so much gold if you stayed with both mines, rather than thinking you need to abandon the other one.
Or you find a huge gold mine, you split it off into 3, and then only use
one.
Only use one pile of gold.
Yeah. And it's like we miss out. And there's, studying like the psychosomatic relationship connection, and like the psychosomatic meaning like the mind body relationship, and the things that happen in our mind affect our body. Things that happen in our body affect our mind. In the way that our body, like stores trauma, and there's like research going into this now, and like, which is probably existed for a long time in other cultures, but in the Western culture, it's not as much of a thing. My sister's reading a book called, she might have finished it by now, but by the time, anyway, she's going through a book called The Body Keeps a Score, I think, and it's all about that, about how your body stores trauma physically, and you have like places in your body that are connected to stress and will trigger memories of things and pain and emotion. And you might not know why you're feeling certain emotions, but there's like certain parts of your body that actually trigger this emotional response.
Right.
And it's about that psychosomatic connection too.
Yeah.
I think that when we come to a place where we are more fully, I feel like there's a lot of language that sounds that we would call new agey. Right. Like I was going to say, like when we become more like integrated,
Oh, okay.
And I feel like there's a sense of being integrated, meaning like becoming a whole person, allowing yourself to be a whole human being. Mm-hmm. And I hate that we give certain things away and allow like new age to hijack certain principles of
even
life.
That are biblical.
That even biblical. There are biblical things about even the topic we were going to talk about earlier. We planned on talking about giving and receiving. Like this concept of letting go in order to receive. It's like you can take that and New Age has hijacked that concept. And then you talk about it in another way, and then all of a sudden you're being New Agey when really you're talking about things that Jesus had talked about. Right. And there is risk of running the line, but I think that whenever we come to this place where we can be more holistic as human beings, it helps us navigate hard decisions and hard situations. Yeah. Like the things that what we talked about at the beginning is like, whenever I can come to a place where I am allowing myself to be and to feel and to be present with the pain, I can navigate it better. Right. Rather than getting caught up in a certain emotion or trying to run away from a certain feeling. If I can accept it and feel it, I can actually navigate it better and be more intentional with how I lean into the situation. Yeah.
Gives you a better framework for dealing with issues.
Yeah. Even increases our understanding, which allows us to understand why we're feeling with the way we're feeling, or,
Yeah. And it's just, it made me realize that I'm a lot bigger than I thought I was, like as far as even facing, adversity or things, things going on in life, anxieties and fears and whatever comes, it's like, I'm a lot bigger than I thought I was, like a lot more capable than you think that you kind of have like a brink of resilience. You have a breaking point. I think we all do have a breaking point in certain seasons in our life, but I think, as we talk about is saying yes to things that are uncomfortable and into hard things, the breaking point gets further and further and further and further, and you have more of a sense for this resilience or this ability to, just face things in life. Like things that used to scare me don't scare me anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like making certain decisions that used to scare the crap out of me don't scare me anymore. Certain moral issues, they don't scare me anymore. Like there's this bar that goes up as you become more comfortable, even those uncomfortable situations, and then having that resolve in you, no matter what, I'm going to, You know, my full body's facing this thing. You know what I mean?
Right. I can take this.
with God, you know, like
Yeah.
with God, you could actually, I could scale a wall.
Yes. Uh-huh.
As
God
David
is giving
says.
me hands that I could bend a bow of bronze.
Bend a bow of bronze, baby. But I think that helps a lot. And then there's like almost like this endless growth that I feel like is possible now, where it's like, well, because no matter what I face, like it only works for me.
Yeah.
So anything that I'm going through that's like really, really hard, it's like another way to almost like unlock a different part of me that can handle that. You know what I mean? And then like there's this almost infinite to what you could experience and handle as you get to experience more and more and more. And then there's like endless growth available.
Yeah. Like what James says in the beginning of his letter to the churches, count it all joy when you face various trials and temptations.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and bringing you to completion. Let
it have its work. Yeah.
Yeah. Letting the trials and the tribulations create this perseverance inside of you, right. You know, and let that have its work in you,
right.
To actually transform you, to change you, and to create you into more of a holistic and whole person. And there really is something that happens with the coming to the breaking point and us getting stronger. There's a relationship with the struggle and the development and the growth. Because when we decide to push through struggle, there's something inside of us that changes and is made stronger.
Yeah.
Internally, you know, and even when you're working out, you don't get stronger by lifting things that are easy for you. You know, it's like you don't develop strength by lifting nothing. Right. You actually pick up weights that are hard for you,
that are too heavy for you.
You literally do things that are heavy so that you develop strength.
Yeah.
It's like we go to the gym, we lift heavy things to get stronger.
Right.
And it's the same thing that happens with us in the rest of life. It's like we move towards heavy things and hard things. And as we do that, we get stronger.
Right.
When we decide to keep going through those and to approach those situations and have the conversations and make the hard decisions, something develops within us.
Right.
There's obviously an unhealthy point where you can go to the gym and try to lift too much weight and hurt yourself.
Yeah, I'm not going to go try and bench 315 or something like that. 3 plates, it's like I can't.
Right. But one day you could if you work your way up to it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But you're not going to get there by avoiding all the hard things.
Right.
You're not going to get there by avoiding resistance because it's actually what makes you stronger.
Right. Dang, man. That was good.
That was a good conversation, huh?
That was a good conversation, eh? We hope that you are... you're still with us. And that you enjoyed this conversation. Yeah, we hope that you jump on in, you know, get close to all those nitty-gritty emotions and fears, and say yes to things that are uncomfortable, making room for the comforter to come. Allow yourself to have the opportunity to learn those things, you know? Yeah. And I know that basically what I'm saying is make space for suffering or for pain because I wouldn't have learned this connection without that stuff happening to me. Like I without all of that junk and all of those thoughts and all the way, like I just wouldn't have any grid for it. Like the connection between my body and my mind, or how to do this, or even getting better. And it helps in other things, like my brain capacity for being able to empathize with others or experience even what others are experiencing, or notice emotions and when somebody else isn't in their body, you know what I mean? Or notice when somebody else is uncomfortable or going through it or in their head or something like that. It's like, bro, I know that, you know what I mean? Cause like I've been there a lot, you know? So yeah, allow yourself space to get in there. You gonna read a verse? Yeah, I'm going to read a verse. This is a verse that just came to my mind, but it's something that I would think about a lot when I was going through a lot of different hard situations and seasons in life. It's Romans 5, verse 3 through, I'll read through 5 as well. It says, "We can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help us develop endurance.
And endurance develops strength of character, and character strengthens our confident hope of salvation. And this hope will not lead to disappointment, for we know how dearly God loves us because he has given us the Holy Spirit to fill our hearts with his love.
Amen.
And knowing how much he loves us, I love that it kind of points to where it all comes from, right? It's like knowing how much he loves us is the place where this hope can develop, is in that space of knowing that God loves us. And so when we run into the problems and trials, we can have that endurance to stick through it and the character. And as we do that, hope develops, and that hope doesn't ever disappoint. Because we know that God's with us and he's for us and he loves us.
Yeah. Amen. That's good. Well, we're so glad that you joined us on this spontaneous, beautiful conversation episode. We had something else planned. We did. And we didn't do any of it because something else, a conversation started brewing from the get-go.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. Maybe next time, huh? Anyway, make sure to follow us. I hope that, jump into the conversation. Follow us on YouTube, Your Brain on God. Write some comments. Be sure to, write a review on Apple Podcasts. That would be awesome for us. It helps us grow our podcast. We want to reach more people with some of these conversations, and so more boggies can get into what we're doing here. But we love you guys, and we'll see you next time on Your Brain on God. Peace out.
Peace out.